Hi everyone, this is Kairat from the Steps Academy based in Hong Kong. So, look, making mistakes in mathematics costs a lot of you lots of marks, and that's one of the reasons you probably do not do well in mathematics. And in this video I'm gonna go through a few mistakes, very common mistakes that I have observed from my students over the years. And who is this video for? This video is for year 9, year 10, year 11, year 12 and year 13 students doing IPDP, IGCSE or SAT or A-level or any other curriculum. So let's go to this video. Now the first type of mistakes has to do with exponents and logarithms, or indices and logarithms. So for example, when you see a question like 2 to the power of 5, some of you might think it's gonna be 10, but it's not. We do not multiply 2 times 5. We actually write this as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times. So it's gonna be equal to 32. Similarly, for example, 9 to the power of 1/2. 9 to the power of 1/2. We do not multiply 9 and 1/2. We actually take this under square root, because 9 to the power of 1/2 is square root of 9, which will be equal to 3. So please do not do these mistakes with indices, and going forward, similar to this is logarithms. Actually, you might not, maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't, but indices and logarithms are actually the reverse of one another. Or the reverse, it's like plus and minus. Indices and logarithms are actually brothers and sisters. So, for example, we all know that log A plus log B, there's an identity for logarithms. Log A plus log B will be equal to log A times B. Log A times B. Some of you, when you see a question like I will show you right now, so this identity is true. But when you see a question like log, for example, x times log y, keep in mind, log x times log y, there is no way to simplify this. It's not going to be equal to, this is not equal to log x plus y. See the similarity between the two? This one is correct, log a plus log b, but log x times log y, or it can be like a and b here and a and b. Second one is not equal. Okay, so this is for some of you who knows about logarithms, and you study this actually in year 12 and some schools in year 13. Okay, so that was about logarithms and indices. Going forward, the second type of mistake happens in equations. So these are basic mistakes, and I hope after watching this video none of you will be doing these mistakes. It has to do with equations. So for example, very simply, x squared is equal to 16. Some of you might think there is only one answer here, x equal to 4. Right? X equal to 4, yeah, it's obvious answer, but actually there is a second answer, it's minus 4. Negative 4, okay? Similarly, for example, x squared is equal to 9. Some of you might think the answer is 3, but actually it's plus 3 and negative 3, okay? So you can write x is equal to plus or minus 3 like this, simply. Okay, that's the equation number 1. Now going forward, equation number 2 that you might make mistake in is x squared is equal to 5x. Now some of you might cancel out the x's on both sides, but we do not cancel out, we cannot. And the reason for that is actually it's a bit advanced, but we cannot cancel out the x's. What we need to do instead is actually bring this 5x to the other side. What this means is x squared minus 5x is equal to 0. And then after this, the next step is to factorize the x out. So x bracket x minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, so that's the next step, and then after this we'll have two cases. Either this side is 0 or x minus 5 is 0. So x is 0 or x minus 5 is 0. Which means that either we have x is 0 or x is equal to 5. So two answers, 0 and 5. Okay, so the takeaway from this example is that we do not cancel both sides by x, right? We do not do that. Okay, so the next type of example, same with equations. Similar to the previous one actually, it's something like, for example, x cubed is equal to, let's say, 9x squared. Some of you might want to cancel out the x squared, but we do not do that again. what we need to do, we bring to the other side. So that means x cubed minus 9x squared is equal to 0. And then the next step is to factorize the x squared out. So x squared and then x minus 9 is equal to 0. Okay? And the next step from here we have x squared is 0 or x minus 9 is 0. X squared is 0 or x minus 9 is 0. From here it follows that x is 0 or the next case is x is equal to 9. So again, two solutions. Alright? Please do not cancel out the x's on both sides. So that was about the equations. The third type of problem, believe it or not, is actually a very simple problem and it has to do with arithmetics. So addition, subtraction. So third type is arithmetics. Arithmetics or arithmetics. Not arithmetic sequences, but just calculations. So for example, we all know 2 plus 5 is 7, right? This is very simple. But when it comes to questions like, let me erase this actually. For example, 2 minus 5. What is this? 2 minus 5 will be negative 3. Now what about the question, for example, negative 2 minus 5? Negative 2 minus 5. Minus 2 minus 5 will be equal to minus 7. What about the question, for example, negative 6 plus 2? Negative 6 plus 2 will be equal to negative 4. Now a lot of you do mistakes, even good students do mistakes with these arithmetic questions, and you just need to memorize these examples and know how it goes. So for example, what is minus 8 minus 3? Minus 8 minus 3 will be equal to negative 11. And I'm giving these examples because some of you might think minus 2 minus 5 is equal to minus 3. For some reason, some people do that. Minus 6 plus 2, some people think it's equal to minus 8 or something, but it's minus 4. Minus 8 minus 3, and this is very common. Some people think it's equal to minus 5 or something, but it's minus 11. And one more example is the following. For example, when you have the question like 4 minus, let's say 10. 4 minus minus 10 will be equal to 4 plus 10. And 4 plus 10 is equal to 14. Some of you will do 4 minus minus 10 is equal to minus 6, but it's keep in mind, minus minus turns into plus. So similar to this example is, for example, 2 minus minus 3. 2 minus minus 3 is equal to 5, okay? So that was about arithmetics. And going forward, the fourth type of example, mistake that a lot of you make. Actually, it's not a mistake, but it's just a sort of like small error. It has to do with trigonometry. And I will just quickly go through this example. Fourth, trigonometry. So for example, if you have a question sine of x is equal to... Oops, my camera died for some reason, but let's continue. If you have a question sine x equals 0.6, and from here using calculator, the first answer will be, let's see, sine x inverse sine of 0.6, it will be 36.9. 36.9, but actually there's another solution as well, which will be 180 minus the first solution. For sine, remember please, it's 180 minus the first solution. So x is equal to 180 minus 36.9 is equal to 143.1. Okay, two solutions. Actually, not only two, there are many more solutions, but these two solutions are between 0 and 360. This is the domain of this function. And if the domain is larger, then there will be more solutions. And to find those solutions, what you got to do, you just add 360 to each solution. Add 360 to this and this solution, okay? And subtract as well. But it gets a bit complicated. So that's trigonometry example. And for example, when you have a question like cosine of x is equal to, let's say, cosine of x is equal to 0.5. Now, using calculator, x will be equal to 0.5 will be equal to 60 degrees. But then this is not the only solution. The other solution will be for cosine is 360 minus the first. So 360 minus the first solution, which is equal to 300. So two solutions, okay, that are between the 0 and the 360. So if this is the domain, then the two solutions will be those 60 and 300. Okay, so that was about trigonometry, and the last one is actually, believe it or not, the last one has to do with more like psychology type of mistake. So a lot of you will not be answering the question that is being asked in the question. So I'll give you a simple example. So if you're given a triangle like this, a right triangle, and you're given this angle is 30 degrees, this is 5, and you're asked to find what x is. Some of you will answer the will actually find what this hypotenuse is, but you're being asked what x is. So please answer the question every time you read the problem. It's very easy to get lost within the steps. So always keep in mind what is being asked in the question and try to go towards that objective. And do not get lost in the middle steps, okay? So because that's very common to get lost. And similar to this, my very last point is that a lot of you students will be telling math is boring, useless, I hate math, I'm tired, all those kind of things. And I do not disagree with that. Math is not always useful. Like, I will admit that math is not always useful. But if you keep telling that out loud and to yourself, it actually doesn't do any good to you. It actually just demotivates you to study. So if you want to do well in math and do well in the exams, get rid of those thoughts completely. Do not think about that. Even if it seems pointless, you can say it, but do not dwell on it. Do not keep saying it over and over. Just say it once and that's over. And please do not dwell on math being boring, because sometimes it is. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. It will really help my channel to grow. And this was Kairat from Steps Academy in Hong Kong. And with that being said, I will see you all guys in the next video. Take care.